over the world.
There we go.
Uh, oh yeah. So backed by popular demand. That's what you said on the
That's
tweet,
right.
right?
That's what I said.
I
Backed by
totally
popular
didn't book
demand.
myself. I didn't book myself like this morning when you were playing Hearthstone. I totally didn't do that.
It's all good,
Uh,
brother.
it's not the first time. I've actually booked myself in a match once, so you know.
You want to know something crazy, man? I was telling you at the beginning when we were doing the show prep that I got this stream deck for our podcast. So I'm still kind of finagling and getting everything used to. I'm trying to do everything from the stream deck itself. And I gotta just admit, man, I forgot to press the live button, and I just like literally pressed it like 30 seconds ago. So like the intro is completely botched. So like
You know what? I was noticing that because I have the stream page open. I was like, why isn't this live? Is something going on? Because I put it on my channel's Discord, and because there's gonna be like one Portuguese person besides me awake at 4 in the morning.
right.
So like, and they haven't said anything, so everyone's asleep, or everyone's like, when does this start?
When's this start?
So
Yeah, man. I'm still getting used to it, man. So let me just start over real quick. It's your boy Sage the Mark with my boy Joao, aka John from Portugal. We here. It's Real Wrestling Podcast. We're gonna go through everything this week. Hit your boy up. It's Real Wrestling Podcast, all spelled out on Instagram at Real WrestleCast on Twitter. Support your boys at patreon.com/IRWP. I'm gonna let John Zhao, master of none. I'm gonna let him plug his stuff real quick at the top of the show, and then we'll get into things. Go ahead, boy.
if you want me to plug right away,
Plug right away, man. Plug
I'll
right
get
away.
to it. Just follow the channel. It just support us by following. If you know Portuguese, if you want to learn Portuguese by watching wrestling, guys talk about wrestling. That's how I learned talk English. It was like video games and wrestling.
There we go.
That's also how Kevin Owens learned how to speak English.
Fun
That's
fact.
according to, yeah, I think he said that once. But yeah, follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/smarkdown, and on Twitter at smarkdown, and on Facebook and Twitch at smarkdown official with just one F. That's how you spell it in Portuguese. And yeah, it's Portuguese wrestling YouTube channel. We do reviews, previews. I've done some music videos. There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's content. Like there's like or three videos a week, so there's a lot of content coming out.
There we
So
go.
check us out.
Yeah, he's got a pretty snappy website too, smarkdown.net, that you didn't plug, but I'll go ahead and plug it for him. So I looked at it and I'm like, damn, I got to step up my website game, man, because like I'm just like completely lazy at it. But yeah, y'all go ahead and support your boy at smarkdown.net. All his credentials is there as well. Go support your boy. I want to start this week a little different. There, you know, inside the ring this week, not a lot going on there, but there was tons and tons and tons of stuff going on outside the ring. Probably the most notable thing that I came across with this was the announcement. And it was kind of funny how this thing was announced because it sounded like it was supposed to be announced on Raw, but ended up getting leaked sooner in the day, which, it happens. But NXT is officially moved from a 1 hour pre taped show to a 2 hour live show every Wednesday, I believe starting in the middle of September or October.
September 18, I believe.
September 18th, okay. Um, so the one of the most notable things aside from the extra hour and the live show is that it will exclusively be on USA.
Not exclusively.
Okay,
I mean, live it will be, but
live it will be.
next day the replay will be on the network.
Okay, the next day it will be on the network. So, um, I think this is kind of interesting for two reasons. One, I do have the network and I watch it live on the network, but I also watch it live on Hulu the same exact day that it's aired. So it's going to be interesting to see now that they're exclusively live on USA Network that then everything's going to be shifting to the next day apart. So I think that's interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, a smart move to start because they have that luxury because they can do it. They're starting 2 weeks before AEW, so they're establishing their product right away. One thing that I saw that I don't know if it was Meltzer or Brian Alvarez was saying was like WWE by putting NXT on national television on Wednesdays, they're establishing Wednesdays as a wrestling day, like they've established Monday and um, and Tuesdays, and and they're SmackDown's going back to Fridays, but there's a lot of people watching right now that used to watch when SmackDown was on a Friday, so it was like it's no problem. But Wednesday was never a wrestling day for the average wrestling fan, or really like the the viewers that tune in every once in a while. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. They're establishing that day for NXT, but they're doing the same thing for AEW. They may be doing it for NXT, but it's wrestling. It's grouped up together, so it also kind of helps AEW. So I question the decision, not just because of that, but most of all, NXT is a developmental show. Um, what's gonna happen? They say it won't change. Triple H will still be in charge, but here's the thing: where things might not change, but how do you use NXT as a developmental show when you have to focus it to be a national TV show, an actual third brand, much like SmackDown and Raw? Because you can't do those experiments and like try things out like you did in the past. Like you can stick someone in to see how they handle being on live TV, um, and then just pluck them out. Like I remember Semi Callahan when he was in NXT.
Yep, had that
They,
hacking
they
gimmick.
yeah they tried him out, didn't work. They pulled him right back. That won't work when there's people like on the network. It's one thing, but like on national TV, you gotta have a consistent product, and people will notice and people will complain when things like that happen. So I question the decision to make NXT developmental show, but now an actual third brand. But it will affect the show. No matter what people say, it will affect the show. Going 2 hours, it will affect the show. Because to me, NXT, if it had to expand time wise, it would be to 90 minutes, never 2 hours.
Right.
But to be honest, because of how commercials work in the US, it is 90 minutes of actual NXT and like 30 to 45 minutes of commercials, something like that. It's like
Yeah,
30 minutes.
sounds about right.
So yeah, it's the show is 90 minutes, but even that might be a bit too much because then what's going to happen? Are matches going to be longer? Or are they going to put in more matches? Are they going to focus more on people that aren't really prepared? Are they going to keep that experimentation uh, portion of the show going? Because that's the. I think I saw someone say they have like 98 or 99 people at the performance center ready to go. That you can consider part of the NXT roster. And what's the actual NXT TV roster? It's like
Right.
30 people,
About
40 people?
30 people, and then they exchange. I think that uh, they exchange talents every other week or every 3 weeks. Like they have a rotation schedule between those that show up on TV. So really, you're probably looking at about 15 wrestlers all the way through. So my thing is, your format's going to definitely change, despite what WWE is saying. The format has definitely have to change because the way that it's currently formatted is that it's a rotation schedule in terms of storylines and the people that are actually on there. So the only way that you're going to actually get this to work is to either bring up the ones that are not green, and just have them consistently compete with no storyline, or, and this is what what Goose had alluded to last year, and this was actually one of his predictions in the Great Debate, is that you're going to end up having to collapse 205 Live and bring that talent over to NXT and and build upon that. And I kind of felt like with the tournament that they had, it kind of helped bridge that, sort of kind of bridge that gap to where we would see that, because you have to remember, 205 Live is actually coming out on Wednesdays now instead of Tuesdays right after SmackDown like it used to. Um, to me, it would
Is
only.
it?
I think
Because I've been
so.
watching it after SmackDown.
Okay, I thought that they switched that. It's been a while since I
They
watched it,
did
but
that for a while, but they
they
switched it
switched it
back.
back. Okay, so I haven't seen it since then, and that's my bad. And I love NXT too. I mean, 205 Live too. So, but I think that's ultimately where you're gonna have to go with this, is that you're going to ultimately combine 205 Live with NXT, and I think that with the combination of those storylines along and them benefiting from being in a smaller environment, I think that you can make a full show between the two brands.
Yeah, because 205 Live is just not working. They really don't know how to use it. They put on some matches. There's like a couple of storylines, and only like one or only one is like interesting, and it's usually the title picture. So it's not working.
Yeah.
And there's already rumors that 205 Live is going to go bye bye, and I completely understand. It's the worst brand in WWE, unfortunately, and it sucks because it has a lot of great talent.
Yeah,
But it's not the talent's fault.
and it's not. I love 205 Live. I absolutely love it, and I think that they do a pretty good job within that 1 hour that they have to put on storylines. But the problem is that they suffer because you're putting it on the network. It's kind of an out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. It's not incorporated with any of the brands whatsoever. And it's ultimately suffering from that perspective. Like, fans are not engaged in it because they don't see it. Um, we can't say it's the talent, right? Because we've got arguably three of the best 205 Live people that are on the current roster right now that are putting on phenomenal matches. One that was in the title picture at one point in Ali. Then we have Buddy Murphy, who just came out, had two phenomenal matches 2 weeks in a row. One with Roman Reigns and the other with Daniel Bryan, who got a victory this week. And then we have Mustafa Ali. We have it's Cedric Alexander, who's had a phenomenal run with Drew Gulak. So I mean,
McIntyre,
McIntyre.
I believe.
So they can go, and Drew Gulak is just like the goat, like in the making. Like, don't even get me started
Yeah.
on that aspect of it. But I think that if you put them in a smaller environment, I think that they will benefit ultimately. And you can do a lot. I worry about the bloat on the titles on NXT now, that if they do end up going that route, you're going from 3 titles to 4 titles overall in a small brand. So
Oh yeah, no, the cruiserweight championship's going away, and I
yeah,
think it's going to be a unification.
yeah, and
It's
I
going
think
to be unified with the NXT championship.
yeah, or unified with the North American title. I think it'd probably be more in line with the North American title than it would the
Could be.
NXT. But I mean that's what I think about that, man. So I mean I like it. I mean I understand that they're trying to compete against NXT or AEW, and I don't know if I would really consider that to be true competition in a sense, just because one's developmental and the other one is really a promotion. But it'd be good to see on paper, and I'm definitely interested to see how that goes. It does. I like the fact, like in hindsight, Joao, I like the fact that Fandango and Apollo Cruz and what's his name, Tyler Breeze, are
Yeah.
actually being utilized in NXT. For it seems like this is the reason why they've been asked to go back there, is to kind of help
Yeah.
relaunch NXT when it goes live. So
And it should be a thing that happens more often.
yeah,
Like, why wouldn't Rusev take advantage of that? Why wouldn't a guy like Heath Slater take advantage of that? Like,
oh
they're not being really used,
yeah,
so
and
why not?
they're being spotlighted on a Wednesday, the middle of the week. I mean,
And like now it's not even a demotion because first of all, NXT contracts are getting upgraded to main roster contracts.
Nice.
It's what the rumor mill is spouting out, and these guys now are gonna make a lot more money, and that's one of the things. Because I did a video last week about what the positives and negatives of NXT going on television,
Hmm.
and the positives were it highlights the future of the company in a bigger and better way than actually just being on the network. It's like it's putting it out there. If Raw and SmackDown are like the big shows, NXT is the future. If you want to see the future, you watch on Wednesdays.
All right.
So like that's great. And the one of the biggest things, and I think it's 30 million that USA is paying WWE for NXT. NXT is now making money. It didn't. NXT was kind of a money sink for WWE,
Yeah.
like NXT and the Performance Center, because it's not things that make money. They're
Right.
there to make stars and to make sure that the future of the company is there right at their fingertips. They don't have to rely on the independence. Of course,
It's a
most of the
capital
time it does.
expense. It's not meant
Yeah,
to be an investment. I mean,
it's an
uh,
investment on the
it's
future.
an investment in the future. So yeah, you're going to take those expenses. It's kind of like research and development, right? Before you actually have a full product out on the line, you got to do the R&D. Your R&D is never going to make the money, right? It's always going to be, what culminates from that R&D is going to make that money in the future. So
And I mean, look at the current main roster and how many of those guys came from NXT.
yep,
Right?
yeah,
It
no,
it works. So that they're existing the PC and NXT, it's already paid off in stars. Now it's gonna pay off actual money, which is great for the company. They like to make money, I heard. And
that is the rumor.
and then another show on national television makes and especially because of takeovers and how they're touted as some of the best shows WWE produces, gives more reasons to subscribe to the WWE network. So like takeovers are not just like network specials; they can be pay-per-views. Actually, they can now be sold on pay-per-view. Another way to make money, even though I don't think there's a lot of people that still watch wrestling on pay-per-view, at least WWE pay-per-views.
No, not WWE pay-per-views, especially with it being just it's literally free for anyone who doesn't have it, and then $9 a month. So,
Yeah, but
um,
those are the positives. Then there's the negatives, and like I said, NXT is developmental. So how's that going to work?
yeah,
Like I said before, um, it is a third brand, but it's never going to be at the same level as Raw or SmackDown. It's always going to be like I remember like there was I don't know what year it was, the video game was SmackDown versus Raw featuring ECW. I don't know what year it
I
was.
think it was like
It was like
'06 or
it's
'07.
something like that. It's never gonna be Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. It's gonna be always like Raw, SmackDown, and then at the bottom and NXT
Yeah,
is here as
and
well. Yeah,
NXT.
it's always gonna be like that. And then there's the thing that they're being treated as main roster stars now. So the product, it's gonna have some restrictions because it's on national television that it didn't have when it was on the network, like what they can do, what they can say, and how far they can go with some stuff.
Right.
And on the network, it was their platform; they controlled it. On USA, they have to abide by their rules, which is not a big issue because they already do that for our SmackDown, but that might impact the product overall. So
Yeah, I think they'll need to do a better job of cross promoting though, especially going into the early weeks of the NXT. Have a Kevin Owens go down there for a little while, and I venture to say I kind of thought that maybe him getting fired would have amounted him going to NXT and just kind of heading that brand for a little bit, like just kind of anchoring it until maybe Survivor Series or whatnot. But you never know.
speaking of Survivor Series, do you think since it's going to be in November, right?
Yes, no,
Uh,
yes, November. Yeah.
so do you think we're already going to be treating NXT as a third brand, and we'll have Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT in 3-way elimination matches.
I don't think I think we'll save that probably for next year. Like War
Right.
Games is still a staple, and I think that if you're gonna do that, you bring War Games like a true War Games to the WWE, and just do it that way versus a traditional Survivor Series, or just for that particular match, or maybe bringing them down. But I wouldn't do it this year. I don't think it would be a smart play to do it year one. I think that would be a smarter play to do that year two, once they're completely established. You build your star, who's going to be running things and rough shot, and then do maybe some invasion angle going into 2020, and then setting it up for War Games. So I venture to say that that's probably it's a good idea, but I just think it would be too soon to do it now.
But
Um,
there's something we can do right away, which is we have Clash of Champions coming up.
yeah,
Why not have an NXT title match
I
at the
agree.
show?
I agree, man. I honestly, Clash of Champions has traditionally been booked as all championships on the line. So I expect for the United States, sorry, for the North American title to be there. I expect for the NXT UK Championship to be there. I expect for the NXT Championship to be there in some form or capacity, whether it's on pre-show or not. Like I expect that to be there because that's the way this card is supposed to be built. But I don't. I mean, with WWE, it's kind of hit or miss, man. Like, um, I mean, they got the King of the Ring that's going to be crowned there. They've got a couple of women's segments that are away from the title that may be there. So I don't know, man. I would love it to be there, but I don't know if they'll go that route, man. It just seems like they're not consistent in that front.
Yeah, but it would definitely help. And if they want to compete with AEW, they need to use, you know, their kind of cross promotion, which is
Yes,
promoting NXT
that's their
on Raw and SmackDown.
that's their strongest asset right now is the ability for them to cross promote every brand.
Which still I don't understand. I mean, I think I do, and I'm gonna tell you why. I still don't understand why they didn't do the announcement on Raw. I think it was just because Meltzer reported that it was gonna be on Raw, so they were like, "Well, since you've leaked this, just to make a fool out of you, we'll wait 12 hours and announce it in the morning,
Yeah,
like, and then promote it on SmackDown." I mean, Raw is the main show. Something's coming to the USA Network. And you're gonna promote the new USA Network show on a program that's going to Fox. I'm, I'm like, come on, like it's Raw. Why not? Um, it made no sense.
I hear you. Let me ask you just a quick devil's advocate question. How do you think, or should AEW respond in any aspect to this whatsoever?
They've always said it's not a war, so their response should be no response.
No
Uh,
response.
they should just, and this is the thing, they have to, because I see a lot of people criticizing like AEW for, oh, they keep taking pokes and making jokes at WWE, and it pisses people off for some reason. But like, and in this scenario, at this point, every time this happens, AEW benefits from it
Yep.
because it gets buzz. And if WWE replies in any way, they're the ones picking at the small startup company.
Yeah.
So in any scenario at the moment, AEW benefits from all kinds of uh, from any sort of reaction from WWE. This announcement benefited AEW, and oh, it's going to be competition. Yeah, but WWE admitted themselves AEW is a threat. It's competition.
Yep.
So all they have to do now is go, well, we'll let our product speak for itself and just do what they're doing. They don't have to like uh, do anything special. They just have to deliver what they've been promising,
Right.
which is their product is going to be different. It's going to be for the fans. That's all I expect from them.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you, man. They need to shoot their shot on their own lane. Don't worry about the WWE at this point in time. Like they're WWE is giving them lip service as it is. And for those who get upset about AEW taking shots, WWE takes just as many shots on them as well, whether it's through commentary or whether it's Triple H shooting on Billy Gunn for not showing up at a reunion show and not being told. Like it goes both ways. So you shouldn't be outraged just because AEW is a little bit more vocal on that aspect of it. But I I really don't understand that argument. Um, but before we get off of the NXT train, I wanted to talk about NXT UK. We talked before the show started that there is a pay-per-view coming up, and I knew that is it Cardiff.
NXT UK Takeover Cardiff.
Cardiff.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Wales.
Yeah, in Wales. So I have to admit, man, and this is I love everyone that's on that roster. I love Walter. I love Tyler Bate, Wolfgang, Devin, Rhea Ripley, Gonzalez. Like I love them all on there. But I have to admit, man, since the launching of it, I haven't had the time to actually sit down and watch a show, like one show from them itself. And I'm hoping that this doesn't. I'm hoping that they're not hedging their bets on the United States audience for watching the program to keeping it afloat. Does that make sense?
I mean, first of all, they're broadcasting it on the network at a reasonable time for us Europeans. They're putting it on at 8 p.m. our time, so which is something that's kind of weird for us because we usually watch WWE programming starting at midnight or 1 in the morning. It's always been like that.
We're sorry.
Yeah.
We consume a lot here in America. I'm sorry, man.
There was a time, though, that when WWE came to the UK for shows, there was someone, I think there was a Russian guy, that managed to intercept the signal being sent from the arena where Raw was being taped and then sent back to Stamford to be broadcasted on the USA network at the right time because they're in the UK. They're not gonna do live Raw. They're gonna go on tape delay. So there was a time where I watched a completely unedited with production sound Raw. So like I could hear like producers talking and
Nice.
talking to commentators. It was so weird, but at the same time so great. It also turned me off from actually wanting to go see Raw live or SmackDown because the audience gets bored because when there's a commercial and there's not a match in the ring, you do nothing. You just sit on your hands and you wait.
Music plays really, really low. Yeah.
Oh, you've been?
Yeah,
So
I've been
live,
man. Yeah, I've been live a couple of times, man. We get it too, man. It's just they sit in the ring and they're just kind of like dancing, and then like 30 seconds before the start, the music starts to come up again, and we're supposed to act like, oh, the commercial didn't actually happen. So no, I get it, man.
But bringing it back to NXT UK, they have it on a time where it's nice for us. It's convenient for us to watch. The thing about NXT UK is it's being run by the guys who do Progress Wrestling, which is a product that is amazing in that the format that they have, like the chapters and the shows they do, and they have some secondary shows every once in a while.
Yep.
They do that really well. A weekly show, it's not working because I watch it and most things are like not that interesting. Like only the really top guys and the best performers are like interesting. So Zach Gibson, everything he does, every promo he does, I'm there because he's amazing. The Imperium, the new stable,
Walter, Wolf, and
Eichner and I'm forgetting someone.
Alexander Wolf, Eichner, and Walter.
No, it's
and there's
one more.
One more.
Barthel.
Barthel.
Yeah.
The Genetti.
Four of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's
He's not.
absolutely not
I'm just
McKinnon.
kidding, man. I'm just
Jesus.
kidding.
Um, but that stable's really good.
Yeah, it is.
It's Ring Camp basically from WXW, which
Okay.
it's great. But yeah, they're basically feuding with British Strong Style with Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, and now Dunn's not even there, so it's on Walter's shoulders to carry that show.
Okay.
But the rest of it is like kind of dry and not really interesting, and it's upsetting because like their women's division is in shambles. Like there's Rhea Ripley, there's Toni Storm, there's Kaylee Ray, and
Shea Brookside is there, I think, right?
there's my girl Killer Kelly,
Killer Kelly.
my friend, and they don't use her, which pisses me off completely, and sure it pisses her off.
Yeah.
It 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 just it's not interesting to watch. Like Takeover, I'm sure it'll be great, but it's not that interesting. I don't think they're and it's a taped show. I'm not saying they should go live. No, they shouldn't. They need to go like to reevaluate how they're producing that show and how they're putting things together because the storylines really they aren't clicking. Like I remember when they made the first NXT UK tournaments.
Yeah.
To crown the first champion.
Yep.
The buzz
Loved it.
around that tournament was so great.
It was amazing.
And even the second one was pretty damn good. But when they started doing the weekly TV,
just
I
kind of
don't know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll turn it around, man, because I do think it's a great product. I love the talent that's actually on there itself, and I hope that it is. I hope that the lifeline of the show is really dependent on the UK audience viewership and not the US. Just because I know that there's not a lot of people here that watch it, and it's a shame. That's a travesty, and I'm kind of on that. Aside from that, man, I wanted to shift into the XFL a little bit here. So as you know, everyone knows Vince McMahon is the owner of the XFL. There is no team ownership in the teams that they just recently announced 8 teams recently. And all of it's owned by Vince McMahon, so that should kind of alleviate a lot of ownership issues that we've hear that the NFL is kind of plagued to. They announced 8 teams. The logos are out right now. They look like something that was created out of WordPress, Microsoft Office, or something like that. What's going on, Nickman, aka Atlanta, Spain, man? Thank you so much for joining the stream, brother. The league is set to start in February of 2020. My question to you, Joao, is with this, I mean, we were literally in the red zone, as they say in American football. We are at the 30-yard line, ready to score the goal. Basically, this is about to go live February 2020. We are in that red zone. Are we that much closer from both Vince and Shane's role in the WWE as active decision makers? Are we closer to that being relinquished and for them to be a full-time on-board XFL and give the reins of the WWE to Triple H or whoever else is behind the scenes, Paul Heyman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Are we that close? I mean, do you think that that's where we're going at this point? Because I feel like I am. I feel like that this is the reason why we're seeing so much Shane as of recent is because this is his swan song. Come WrestleMania, it will be his swan song. He will no longer be an active on-screen persona, and probably I know that he doesn't have any like backstage swing or sway, as they say. But I think that we're seeing Shane so prominent now is because I think that he's going to take the realms of the XFL from Vince McMahon once the ink is dry. What do you think?
Here's the thing. We're talking about Vince McMahon. We're talking about a guy that made pro wrestling mainstream pro wrestling what it is today. We're talking about a guy who has complete control over most of the shows that WWE puts out. We're talking about a guy that if he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed, he'll take a script that's been done and approved by himself, and on the day of the show going on air, he'll rewrite it. That's Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
That's what he's been doing. This is what we've been dealing with. But here's the thing: no one, and Vince barely sleeps, from what I understand, but no one has enough time to run uh, two. And people are saying, "Oh, he's going to get his hands on NXT now that it's on the USA Network." So let's say three television shows, three wrestling brands, and then and all the bureaucratic stuff that comes with being a CEO of WWE, and then being involved with the relaunch of the XFL. I mean, you just you, dude has to multiply somehow, and he can't. He wishes he could, but he can't. So something has to give. And here's the thing: what made the original XFL fail, it may rear its head once again. I mean, it's WWE. The money made from WrestleMania, from the Saudi Arabia shows, it's that kind of money, and the shares that Vince and family has been dumping every time they go for a major announcement, because they know the stock's gonna drop and then it's gonna rise again. So which I don't know how that's legal, but I don't know anything about stocks. Um, it's it's WWE money that's funding the XFL, just like it did before. So when things start going south, what's gonna happen? Because this is just a hobby for Vince. Vince has his core business, and he's doing the XFL because he wants to get in football.
Well, he's always wanted. It's no secret that he's always wanted to be an owner of a football team. That has always been his core aspiration. If you've read any of his biographies or biopics that they've had out, a shout out to Steven Tejas and Nickman, aka Atlanta, Spain. Real quick, just want to hit the chat real quick here. Steven says that he needs to give the show to Triple H. Nickman says that he doesn't like it when WWE goes to Saudi Arabia, and I'll touch on both of those real quick here, as well as about stocks and stuff like that, because I'm pretty versed in that as well. Your stocks, your ownership in stocks doesn't necessarily equate to creative. How do I say? Doesn't necessarily equate to the decision making in the company directly. Especially if it's a publicly traded company, you usually appoint a CEO who makes those decisions, and like the business decisions. Vince is kind of underneath that a little bit. He's although he has great share control in there. His thing is he's more involved in the creative aspect of it. So that kind of takes care of that piece of it there, man. As far as the XFL is concerned, like you're absolutely right, and I am 100% behind you. There's just no way he can toggle all three. That whole NXT rumor thing, I didn't give it any credence on it, because I just think that's total hogwash. Whoever reported that, there's just no way that I mean, if he wanted, the ship has sailed for him to take any type of control over NXT. Like, if he wanted to do that, he would have done that a long time ago. He's in the meetings, but he's given full reign to Triple H to do that, and that's well documented. I really do believe, though, that it's his swan song. Like, this is he's given the gift. The company is self sustaining. It's got a board of directors. It's got a CEO that's in charge of doing all the directives for the business aspect of it. There's nothing more that Vince needs to do to this, to the WWE. The XFL, though, however, if it's going to have any type of longevity, and we're just being realistic here, Vince is pushing like 80. Um, it, it only makes sense to push this thing on to Shane. I mean, it really does. Especially because it only has one owner. I don't believe it's a publicly traded company. So that's also another reason why you would give it to Shane to succeed him in the event that he can no longer kind of control this aspect of it. So I don't know, man. I mean, this is kind of what I think. Let's see a couple of other things here. Niekman says, I thought WCW wrote their stories ahead of time. Funny how he writes stories while the show goes on, but WCW is the same look and what happens. Okay, I don't know. Yep, they tried to change WCW, but okay, so that's just Banner and WCW there. But yeah, man, like I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just saying this. Come WrestleMania, I would not be surprised if this is the last that we see of Shane McMahon.
I mean, uh, if you say that to a current wrestling fan, it'll be like, "Oh, thank God, we've been getting so much of Shane lately," which is weird because it's like three. It was like
When he came back, we
when
wanted him, man.
yeah,
We were like, yes, we're Shane, we're Shane, we're Shane.
everyone was like, "Bring him back, bring him back." He came back. Everyone was happy, but that's the thing with overexposure.
Yeah,
That's what happens. Uh, but and also that's what WWE always does when something's good. They push it too far, and then it sucks. And I mean, not that Shane sucks or it's not a bad performance. He's just being the focal point, much like when Goldberg has a match,
yeah,
and instead of giving someone else a shot in the card. And I know Goldberg sells tickets,
he does.
but someday Goldberg won't be able to wrestle, and there's a whole locker room of people that you need to make into stars so that in the future they become themselves draws like Goldberg. And you need to do that when when they're at their peak performance. You can't make them stars they're in their 40s. So there's a lot of people whose talents are just being wasted, and that's the good thing about AEW. Those people can now go like, yeah, I like the money, but I want to do something with my career,
Yeah,
and maybe they'll give me a shot in a different place.
there you
And
go.
companies like New Japan are making that possible as well. Mexico is underrated as a place where people can make a living and working,
Yep.
but it's not for everyone. And it's the thing. I was talking with a friend like last week, and I was like, it was like the year Nakamura came over from New Japan to WWE. It was like 2017, I believe.
Yeah, isn't that sounds about right?
Ever since then, the wrestling world's gone bananas. It's been crazy ever since. It's been an absolute roller coaster ever since 2017. Wrestling has just been the most interesting it's been since the Attitude Era. It's just been that good. And as a fan, as a content creator, I love it. Here's something that doesn't interest me, not just because I'm a wrestling fan and I'm not an American football fan, but also because I'm European. I like soccer and not American football, and and I don't even care for soccer that much. But
It's all about Hanover
I don't.
'96, baby.
I really don't care about the XFL. And if you tell me that, like it did once before, the the XFL starts affecting the WWE product, and it splits the attention of the person that's in charge, I'm gonna be like, well, screw that. I want wrestling to be good. I don't really care about the XFL. It's not like it's the only football league in the world, and like, yeah, give WWE to Shane, give it to Triple H, do something. Vince won't last forever,
Right.
but I'm like, it's 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 Vince's baby, and he's like, I want a new baby. Well, damn it, dude, make sure that one's taken care of first.
Yeah.
So And we only say this about Vince because he's so involved.
Yeah, he's the
And
staple, man. Like he's
yeah,
let's not get it twisted, man. We say Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels, for me, Mr. Perfect. We consider them to be the greatest in wrestling history. Let's not get it twisted. If we're doing a Mount Rushmore, as they say, where you have the figureheads of the most famous people in wrestling, you can't have it without Vince McMahon. He is just arguably like the most, not only visible, but he is the pioneer of professional wrestling. Um, and
he's the biggest promoter in the history of
yeah,
professional wrestling.
exactly. I mean, he's done more for this business than anyone else. Is good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's just facts. So, um, and then let's get into, before we get into Raw, I'm just gonna say, yo, Shane's my boy. I'm a mark for him. I don't care if he's heel or face. I always support my boy. Go get your money, bruh. I know you're going to XFL. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
You're gonna change your name to Sage the Shane Mark?
That's right. Sage the Shane Mark, baby. Here comes the money, baby. All right, man. So let's get into Raw, man. The chat right now is exploding. I didn't want to start with this, but it looks like we're gonna end up having to start with it anyways. Raw overall to me was just more of a roller coaster. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was a roller coaster for me. Um, the only thing that I wanted to know out of this entire thing is if the Fiend was going to show up, and he definitely did show up this week. And we're starting to see a bit of a pattern. And I did notice this as soon as it happened. And I know that Steven in the chat kind of alluded to it as well, where where the Fiend is attacking. Like his random attack seems to be random against legends.
So not so random.
Yeah, or not so random. There you go. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But we did see him. The King came in. He was going to interview Sasha Banks and we'll go over that later. But he was going to interview her. Fiend's music starts to hit, or his promo packages start to hit. I like the fact that King was like, "I know how this goes," and he books it up the ramp. I thought that was different, and I liked it. I absolutely liked it, and I liked the production of him coming in behind him and then seeking the mandible claw on it. Although I probably would have loved to see him hit the pile driver on him instead of the mandible claw.
Jesus.
To kind of go
I
with
mean,
his theme where he's attacking people but using their own moves. I thought that would have been pretty cool, but that's me.
but he's not. He only used the mandible claw
Yeah,
on Foley. He's
yeah, only
using
on
the
Foley.
mandible claw on people that can't bump.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which, I mean, yeah. But King still wrestles.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: he still does stuff on the independents, but he probably doesn't bump that much as well.
He could have hit him with that pile driver, bro. King me.
You know what would have been really interesting, and I think it would have worked so much better. Booker T was also on the show through a Skype call, like
Yeah.
in an interview segment with Michael Cole.
Don't get me
Imagine
started on
how
that.
great that was. That was like, I was watching. I was like, well, something's gonna happen because this is such a silly segment to put on. Like it makes no real sense to be here. It's like super superfluous. So I was like, something's gonna happen here. And I was imagining, like towards the end of the interview, you started to get some light flickering at Booker T's house, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having some issue with the lights or something." And then you just lights go out on his camera, and then when it comes back, the Fiend's behind him, and then huge brawl, and the Fiend just goes towards the camera and goes like, "Let me in."
Yeah.
How much cooler would that have been?
I would have liked that a lot better, man. Or them just interrupting the Skype call with the Firefly Funhouse, and then how the film just kind of overexposes and then just kind of fades out, and then like you said, him coming up behind them and doing that. I think that would be pretty awesome, and that might actually happen come down the road, because it does seem like that they're trying to do a little bit different things with him every so often. So
I have to notice this, which is King did go, "Oh, I know where this is going," and booked it.
yeah,
That's good. But the next step is like legends won't go to Raw or SmackDown because they're like, well, if I go, I mean, look at all the evidence. It's
Yeah.
pretty sure I'm gonna get jumped by the Fiend. So like, then you do the Skype interviews again, and then you have the Fiend show up during those, and like nowhere is safe. But here's the thing: do you want to typecast the Fiend as the guy that attacks legends?
I know. I mean, I thought Dolph Ziggler was 2.0 legend killer, and it seems like the Bray's doing it. So, honestly, unless they're going to go somewhere with this, I think they need to kind of stop with the legends for a little bit or just kind of like clear off of it and just do something completely different. Like at this point, maybe we just stop using the Fiend and let's get back to Bray in the Funhouse,
Yeah.
and then just kind of go from there. Like develop Bray in the Funhouse a little bit more, because like I don't want to see. I'm with like 90%. Like I don't want to see him just attacking legends and then the week before pay-per-view announce that he's gonna fight somebody. Like I don't want to see that. I think that that's more of a detriment to his character than anything else. But
I mean, I wouldn't even use him at Clash of Champions.
no, I
It's
agree.
not a pay per view for him.
Yeah, I mean, not an official match. I would like to see, you
Oh,
know,
sure, have him have a promo, have
yeah,
something.
promo or even a run in or something like that. Like I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't want to see an official match on
Yeah.
that. So, but yeah, just food for thought there, man. The night was kind of centered around Seth Rollins, the United States champion AJ Styles. Ended up morphing into a match between Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins facing the club for the titles. Um, I what are they doing, man? What are they doing? Why in the world would you take the titles off of the OC? Like it doesn't make to a Frankenstein team, like which is ultimately like they're not gonna drop the titles by one of them getting pinned, right? It's literally going to they're gonna either vacate the titles or Braun's gonna end up turning on Seth Rollins, setting it up for a championship match or a fatal four way or something like that. Like what are they doing, bro?
Well, all I know is it made for some fun memes because all I saw on Twitter the next day was like, "Oh look, Nicholas came back and he's bigger than ever." Holy crap! So I was like, "Yep, that's uh, that's some good stuff right there."
uh,
Um, I mean, here's the thing: what's the actual worth of the Raw Tag Team Championship at this moment? Like, even before they won the tag titles, what was the OC being Raw Tag Team Champion? What was the? It was nothing. The belts meant nothing. They're like, I mean, between the Raw Tag Team Championships and the Women's Tag Team Championships, take your pick.
Raw's
They're
back to its
pretty
old self,
worthless.
bruh. Raw cannot book their tag teams in any capacity whatsoever. I don't get it. Like it's not that hard. Like I don't get it, man. Unless this is gonna lead to some type of unification of the tag team titles, like this is just utter nonsense at all. And Raw needs to get their crap together because like they're falling back into their old ways, and this is not what we need.
I mean, I really don't know what to do. And here's the thing: you have the revival, a Raw team go to SmackDown because why? Because the SmackDown Tag Team Championships are incredible champions that make that championship worth something. So like it's almost like you can imagine the revival being like, well, these aren't worth a damn. Let's go over to the other brand where the tag titles are worth something. And it's going to get to a point where the tag team championships on the main roster are going to be worthless. And I mean, that was the spot of the U.S. title once in the past. It was like, it was the worst title. At the moment, Raw Tag Team Championships and the Women's Tag Team Championships are the bare minimum championship. I like the 24/7 championship and what they're doing with it more than what I like what they're doing with the Raw tag team division. And I'm talking about a comedy title. That's how bad things are for those tag belts.
Yep.
That it's sad. So what do we do? Oh, I don't know. How about giving time to some of the tag teams that you have on that division and build it up? Like, where are the Viking Raiders, and why do they only show up to beat up jobbers? Why
Yeah.
not integrate them into the division? Where are the Authors of Pain? What's happened to them? Where are Heavy Machinery? I think they're a SmackDown team, but they should be on Raw. Really, um, use the tag teams. I mean, uh, I don't know what else to say. I'm dejected at this point with those belts.
Yeah, I agree, man. Something's got to change, man. And it's you have two belts that are centered around the champion of the division. Like that's come on, man. Like that's stop it. Stop that. Stop that. The King of the Ring tournament was kind of announced last week. We didn't really touch on it too much,
Yeah.
but just because we didn't really know what the matchups were going to be, I think they had announced it right after Tuesday night of last week what the matchups were going to be. But we did get to see the first round, Samoa Joe versus I think it was Cesaro. I believe
Yep.
that was even the opener, and oh my God,
Great match.
fantastic match. Like I could watch that forever, man. These both of these guys should have titles strapped to them, and I it just behooves me that they don't. I mean, honestly, I don't think they either one of them is gonna. Well, Cesaro's out. He got submitted by Samoa Joe. I don't think any of these guys are gonna. I'm still behind the camp that Samoa Joe is gonna have a 2020 year. Like him and Drew McIntyre are going to have a 2020 year. So don't sleep on them just because they're taking L's. I think that that's just a pattern for them. But man, what a match! I loved it. Hard hitting, great storytelling. I loved the botch and the recovery of the swing that Cesaro did. And I wouldn't even, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even really call it a botch. I tried to pick the dude up, I couldn't, I stumbled. But you know what? I tried it again, got him around two times, put him in the sharpshooter. Let's go.
Yeah, which is the thing is, oh, it makes Cesaro look weak. No, it doesn't. Look at the size of Samoa Joe.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a big dude.
yes, they sell Cesaro as the pound for pound the strongest superstar in WWE. Yeah, but I mean, he's not Superman. He was the Swiss Superman at some point, but um, he's human, so like he's pretty freaking strong. But I mean, come on. If someone was like, "Oh, I can't believe he botched it," dude was halfway through a match. I mean, in peak performance without being in the middle of the match, I bet he could pull it off. And I bet they may have even practiced it to see if he could pull it off, and I bet they pulled it off.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: mid-match, worrying about what other stuff that needs to be done after that, tired, beaten up, you can't expect. It was a tough spot to accomplish, and it didn't happen. It didn't bother me, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
and to me, I think it brought more believability and realism to the match itself.
yes,
And I appreciate that, man. It's the little things that I appreciate, man. Storytelling is number one. I don't mind botches, and I'm not one of those guys that go out and say, "Oh, this guy botched. Sasha Banks botched this one. Let me go ahead and create a Total Divas GIF and throw it out there so that the world can see." Like I'm not that guy. No shots to Total Divas. I like them, man. They're great people. But I'm just saying, like that's I'm not that kind of dude. We're not that kind of podcast. Um, so overall great match. Samoa Joe's likely to he's going to be facing the winner of Ricochet and Drew McIntyre. I venture to say that Ricochet is probably going to be the one to win the Raw. Uh, I have him or Cedric Alexander going to be the ones to win the Raw side of the house. Cedric fought Sami Zayn. Match was like under 5 minutes. It was a pretty good match. I could definitely that match could have used a longer tone, but Sami Zayn again taking another L. But the sequence of that match was amazing. I again 205 live on display showcase right here, man. Um, great match.
by the way, did you like what they did? They did the G1 undercard strategy of having tournament matches and having the other competitors not involved in tournament matches in a tag match. So they have the Ricochet and The Miz versus Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, you were telling me that earlier in the week, and I'm not a G1 guy myself. I know that they have the point system and the
Oh,
soccer
then
kind
let
of
me
thing.
explain. In the G1, since it's two blocks, every show there's one block that's having tournament matches, and the people from the other block they're not having tournament matches, but they're in the undercard of that show in tag matches, like previewing what's coming in the tournament. So, like, let's say John Moxley is facing, like, I can't remember this year's, Tanahashi the next day. So
Yeah,
he's in a tag match with a couple of young lions, but it's Moxley and a young lion versus Tanahashi and a young lion. So they're
gotcha.
like facing off, like, yeah, like
Like
that, like a,
showcasing them.
yeah, and it gives them ammunition for the promo that they do after the match. They're like, oh yeah, you and me tomorrow. It's gonna be, and
I like that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they did it. They didn't do it on SmackDown, but they did it on Raw. And I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, I absolutely I loved it. Like I love this format. This is a new style. I've seen King of the Ring back since the early '90s, and this is by far probably my top three match. Owen Hart's my favorite, King of Hearts, and but I liked this format. I do, and I definitely thought that this did it a lot of justice versus how they did the King of the Ring last time, where they had it on Monday Night Raw in a gauntlet kind of style and crowned the same day. Like I completely trashed that when that happened, and I just thought it was a disgrace. But I absolutely like it how it's over a couple of weeks, and it's going to culminate at Clash of Champions. I like just like you said that they're showcasing the people who are not competing in tag team matches, and then them going out and doing singles matches afterwards for the tournament. Absolutely love it, man. Um, but yeah, just good stuff overall on this side of the brand, man. Um, last thing I want to talk about on the Raw side of the house, unless you want to talk about anything else, is so we finally the bait and switch of the entire night for us was the interview with Sasha Banks and whether or not to kind of get an explanation of what was going on. And going into this, I liked the fact that they teased it at the very beginning of the show, as that this was like an important thing for us to know why she did what she did. I loved that Becky did a promo, and I absolutely loved Becky's promo. I felt like it made her look strong as a champion. Um, and then the interruption in the middle with the Fiend, kind of just pushing her interview towards the middle or towards the third hour of the show. I like that piece of it. And then Sasha just coming out and just trolling everyone, saying that, you know, it's my hair. Oh, you're talking about my hair the entire time. Like I love that, man. Like Sasha, she commanded my attention the entire time. My eyes were completely on her when she looked at the camera and said, "You're welcome." Like I was sold, man. Like this is the boss, man. I mean, I don't know, man. This is the boss. This is what we've wanted the entire time. I'm your boy's about to mark out right now. The boss is back. Let's go.
Here's the thing. That was good. That was great. It was exactly what needed to be said and what needed to be done to really establish Sasha Banks as uh, a heel that's gonna dominate and do whatever she wants, and that's fine. And I like to use this analogy was like she was building a sandcastle with that. She was building it up, and then came the Natalia segment, and it just tore it down because that segment was
Yeah.
come on. I mean, why do they insist on using Jim the Anvil Neidhart in this feud? Like, why keep bringing up his name? Like, why couldn't Sasha just come back and say, someone had to be it? And Natalia, it was you. I was like someone had to be the target for her wrath, or someone had to. She was gonna make a scene, or she was gonna cause an impact, and someone had to get it. And Natalia, it was you. Now, why does it have to involve saying her father's in hell? It it doesn't do anything for it. It actually, the crowd was like silent for that segment. Everyone was like loving the Sasha promo, and then the Natalia bit. It was like, oh, God, that poor girl. It was so it tore down everything that was built during the Sasha promo. Here's what should have happened: Natalia should have jumped Sasha during her promo. That would have been a lot more believable and a lot better to really show that Natalia won't like be a little girly that will just stand there and take it. Because at this point, it's what she's doing. She's just taking it.
Yeah, but Natalia's injured, quote unquote injured. So that I mean that that's kind of difficult. Let me hit the chat real quick, man.
Sure.
Nickman says, "What do you think about Sasha going heel?" I mean, this is who she was meant to be the entire time. I think we can all agree to that. This is the character. This is her character. And they just, I think that they were just doing fan service and wanting the merch and everything like that, and that's the reason why we've had her face for so long. Demon says, Demon Joker, my boy Demon Joker, shout out, bruh. Y'all go check him out. I think it's going to be Becky Lynch versus Sasha for the Raw Women's Championship at Clash of Champions. Sasha Banks wins the title. Then at TLC, it's going to be Banks versus Lynch in a TLC match. Nickman says, I normally don't see heel Sasha, so this is getting interesting. Nickman, if you haven't seen Sasha as a heel in NXT, don't go back. Just wait and enjoy, because you're definitely going to be on for a ride for this, man. So I think WWE's issue is that they don't have a pure baby face on the roster other than Bayley. And Bayley, which we are going to talk about, is going through a transition of her own. But I think that's why this fell flat on Nikki, or not Nikki, on Natalia, because the only sympathy card that she can really play is her dad's card. And we had that with the Ruby Riott segment. I mean, this is virtually copy and paste storyline from the Ruby Riott Natalia thing. But that's the problem. They don't have any true babyface. I think the only closest one that they have right now is tied up in the 24/7 title. So, there's that. Maybe could have done it on Paige. That would have been interesting.
You know how sad it is to look at Natalia and see a really talented women's wrestler
Yeah.
that's using Bret Hart's theme, that's using Bret Hart's move, that's using her father's passing as a storyline device, and then they give her 10 minutes to put someone else over. It's sad because I remember like seeing Natalia versus Charlotte at NXT in one of the takeovers, and it was so freaking good.
Yep.
And every time Natalia shows up on the main roster, I'm like, oh boy, how are they gonna screw her now? It's consistent. I mean, I she has a job for life in that company, but God, I wish she went to the Indies
Yeah.
because there's a lot of great matchups that she could do there.
She's gonna end up
God,
being a coach, man. I mean, she plays that
yeah,
capacity role anyways, and she's damn good at it, man. Natty is one of the best female wrestlers WWE has. But again, I think this is just a testament that they don't have solid baby faces that they can use that are not tied up in some other storyline. So, unfortunately, it had to be her. I mean, you could have done, did a callback to Team Bad, but Naomi's nowhere to be seen since Jay got that DUI. So, um, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting. Let's jump into Raw, unless I'm into SmackDown. Unless there was anything else that you wanted to touch base on here.
no, not really.
All right. So SmackDown. I thought SmackDown definitely was the better of the two shows. Hands down. The King of the Ring tournaments that they had there, absolutely loved. Andrade versus Cruz, ultra competitive match between the two. It was actually better than the last two confrontations that they actually had. And I like that it had a consequence to it as well. With Andrade going to the to the to the King of the Ring tournament. I have Andrade winning this entire thing, and I'm saying that from a Mark perspective. I know that's probably not going to happen. It's going to be like Baron Corbin or something like that. But I have Andrade winning this entire King of the Ring tournament, man. I think that the storyline that you can build around him, and you're going to eventually bring in Charlotte because it's starting to become public with them on TV that they're an item. I think you could do a king and queen storyline kind of thing there. I think that it would be pretty interesting.
And you know how that would work? Because it wouldn't be King Andrade.
Yeah,
It would
it'd be
be
El Rey.
Ray Andrade. So
I like it, man. La Muñeca and El Rey and El Reina. Yo, I'm down for that, bro. I am down for that.
that would work. I have him win the SmackDown side for sure.
Yeah,
I think he's going all the way in the SmackDown side at the very least.
yeah. I mean that's a safe bet. Damn. That's gonna. I can't wait till Clash of Champions, man. This is gonna be good. The way that they're producing this King of the Ring tournament is just flipping solid, man. Um, Finishing up on the King of the Ring side, Kevin Owens, is coming back. Him and Shane have a segment, basically discussing the $100 fine. If we thought that Shane was going to be, calling this feud a squash, we were quickly reminded with the screw job finish on with Elias and KO that Shane is definitely still his storyline is still in full effect on here. He turns into a referee at the mid end of the match and counts the 1, 2, 3 for the win on KO. I thought this was smart. KO doesn't belong in this tournament. Not to say that he won't in the future, but this is really him. You're gonna need a fall guy. Elias is gonna be the fall guy in the tournament, especially on the SmackDown side of the house. Nothing really here to add context to, but what did you think? I mean, you're in the same consensus.
Uh, I actually had KO going to the SmackDown finals against Andrade.
Okay.
And I was like a bit disappointed that they went this way. But the thing that really kind of pissed me off a little was how apologetic Kevin Owens, the big baby face, like revolutionary that I've watched for years, and you just slap him on the you slap him with a fine, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize." And remember, like a couple months ago, people were saying, "Oh, they're building Kevin Owens to be the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're gonna push him like they pushed Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's gonna be like anti-authority. He's gonna turn things upside down
Yeah.
on SmackDown." Yeah, and I sure remember that moment when Stone Cold Steve Austin apologized to Vince McMahon, which never happened because Stone Cold wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And so all comparisons between Kevin Owens and Stone Cold Steve Austin have gone out the window. Now he's just a guy that beat Shane, but then Shane beat him in the bank.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he went, "Oh, no, okay, so you win. I'm sorry." I'm like, why should I cheer for him now? Which is hard for me because there's a running joke in my channel that he's my twin brother. So like, come on, dude, your brother, man. I hate to see you like this.
No, man, I feel you, man. I definitely feel you, man. Next week, I think we're getting Chad Gable versus Shelton Benjamin. I've got Chad Gable winning that one. He's going to end up fighting Andrade. And then Ali versus Buddy Murphy. I don't know, man. With Buddy Murphy inking a win this week against Daniel Bryan, I could see him going against Elias. I wouldn't call it a face turn per se, but I think he'd be like in that tweener stage. They're really trying to showcase him, but I don't sleep on Ali either. Either way, it's going to be an incredible match next week. Those two. So again, y'all keep doing that greatness on the King of the Ring tournament, man. Don't change. Bayley and Charlotte. Alexa Moment of Bliss came out. I'm not going to rehash this. All I want to say about this one here in particular is, one, I'm starting to slowly backpedal my criticism on Charlotte. She is starting to literally win me over with her promo and with her evolution. she's starting to win me over because I've been one of her biggest critiques. But Bailey's showing this is the second time in a row. It's her second how do I say feud in a row where
Oh,
she's starting to show some heel tendencies. With Ember Moon, hit her with the belly to back. And here Charlotte called her out by name. She came out and pushed her off the chair. Yo, we was thinking we were gonna get a babyface Bailey going into WrestleMania. I don't think so, man. I think we're gonna get a heel Bailey pretty soon, pretty damn soon here, man.
I don't think so.
I
I don't
think we're
think
gonna
that's
get
the
a
case.
double turn. I smell it, man. I smell a double turn by Survivor Series.
Here's the thing: when a babyface does that, to me, that's not signs of a heel turn. No, to me, that's like a babyface standing up for himself. Because a babyface that just takes it, you know who that is? That's Natalia, and I don't like those babyfaces. I like a babyface is that can be a goody two shoes, but at the same time, if you poke the bear hard enough, the bear comes out. So like John Cena, absolute goody two shoes babyface, but if you poke him and you poke him, sooner or later you're getting the 5 moves of doom. So it it's like it's what people can relate to
Yeah.
because people usually aren't pushovers. I mean, some people are, but the regular viewer is not a pushover, or why would he like someone who is a pushover?
Yeah.
So Bailey for a long time was a bit of a pushover.
Yeah.
So now she's standing up for herself. People will like that. So to me, that's how you use Bailey. Like she's the friendly, the bubbly, girl next door vibe kind of girl. But if you mess with her, she'll fight back. That's what I want in a Bailey, and in Bailey as a champion,
Yeah.
most of all.
I mean, they're definitely booking her as a strong champion, and I like it. I think Bailey is one of the most underrated wrestlers, not women's wrestlers. She's one of the most underrated wrestlers on the roster. She's got great ring psychology. She has the ability to put people over and make them look good and still have a competitive match on it. She gets overlooked time and time again because she's not flashy and she doesn't wear extravagant stuff and things of that nature. Like aesthetically, she's not aesthetically pleasing to the masses, but her ability is there. Like she's got all the tools of greatness in there, and I think that she gets completely overlooked. And when I say that, I don't mean like I love Bailey. I love the entire package. I love Bailey. But comparing her to everyone else from a casual perspective, they don't see her in the same light as like an Alexa Bliss or as a Charlotte, and I think that that's to their detriment. I think that that's kind of one of the reasons why the crowd turned on her last year. But I like this character development of her, which is really it's an evolution. I pardon the pun, but it's an evolution of Bailey that we needed to see from her, and I like this attitude. I hope she does go heel, man. I know that you're saying this. She's just this face standing up for her. I really do hope she goes heel because I think she'll be a fantastic heel.
Eventually, she will. I know she will. And here's the thing: we haven't seen a truly heel Bailey. That's why I want her to be this kind of more badass babyface for now.
Yeah.
Because when that heel turn comes, I want it to hit me like a train.
Yeah.
I want it to like just blindside me. That's what I want. Those are the best ones.
Yeah.
First thing that comes to mind, the Seth Rollins heel turn. I want it to hit me just like that hit me.
Yeah, that one was hard. I took that personal because Seth was my man. But yeah, no, I feel you, man. I feel you. Shinsuke Nakamura, man. Apparently, Zayn is now his mouthpiece. It sounds like Miz is going to end up getting the title back. I don't know how to feel about that, to be honest with you.
Remember when Ali beat Nakamura and then didn't get a title shot?
I do remember that.
Yeah, someone tweeted that to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, that happened." Poor Ali. This dude keeps getting screwed over and
Yeah, he
over.
does, man. That boy's gonna
Uh,
end up turning heel.
Eventually,
The
but like
dark
in
is gonna
real life,
consume
because
him.
it's the booking is screwing him. It's like I can't imagine. Um, but yeah, Nakamura did need a mouthpiece, and Zayn was doing nothing at all.
Yeah,
So you put two things that aren't working. I mean, Nakamura as a wrestler always delivers. Sami Zayn as a wrestler and as a talker can also deliver. But they're not really being used at the moment. So if you put them together, you can do something with that package, not just as a tag team, but as Zayn as a manager. Um,
but why not get an
because he
actual manager though?
it's not a thing anymore in WWE, really.
I mean,
I mean, who
we've got La Muneca for Cien Almas. We have
still gets pretty physical?
she does, which is that's I mean that's what you're wanting in a manager. You want a manager to not have their hands clean, especially heel one. Um,
Yeah, but compare Zelina Vega to a more traditional manager, like,
well, Sonny Ono was
say,
the same thing in WCW. I mean, he got his hands dirty
he was doing Hurricane Runners.
all the time. I mean, he wasn't doing hurricane runs, but he was hitting people with chairs. It was taking umbrellas and tripping them. Like the
Yeah,
dude
but
was getting
that's the
physical in the
manager's
ring
tactic.
too. Yeah,
That's how managers should work.
yeah,
Like when they do wrestling moves. I mean, come on.
yeah,
That's what a manager is like a representative and an outside help.
yeah.
Like to me, like having a wrestler as a manager, sure, okay, but that's not a real manager.
Gotcha.
So, but hey, I hope this works out
I mean,
truly,
at
because
least they're
that
trying, man.
means,
I mean, I gotta
yeah,
give them that. At least they're trying
because that means we get more Nakamura on television,
for sure.
and I freaking love Nakamura and Zayn as well. I've recently rewatched the Zayn Nakamura match from on Takeover, the Nakamura debut.
Yeah,
It was phenomenal
it
match.
sure was.
Yeah.
Sure was, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I'll give it a chance. I mean, I always do, man. I'm not, you know, our podcast. We're not about being negative, man. We'll give it a chance, but we won't. We'll call it out when we need to. So, finally, show is appropriately called Twin Magic. And I thought it would be a little clever pun considering Daniel Bryan's relationship with the Bellas. So we finally get down to the mystery of who attacked Roman Reigns these past couple of months here. Comes to find out, Roman has a doppelganger.
They found someone who looked just like him,
Yeah, like exactly like
which
him.
can't be easy. I mean, finding a beard that size. I mean, come on, and it wasn't a prosthetic. That's for sure. That
Yeah, no, it was completely real. I think that I don't know if they were trolling in the chat or not, but I believe they said something in the chat room that the dude was from Progress or his name is
mm,
Primate, and he's
no, that's
from
not primate.
okay, that's what they were saying in the chat. I don't know who Primate is, but that's who they were saying that it was in the chat.
I don't think it was.
Um,
Jesus,
but
I
yeah,
know
man, like
primate.
I yeah, I mean I don't know who it is, but I like it, man. I thought it was kind of hilarious. It's still this as crazy as this storyline actually is, man. I am definitely intrigued with it, and this is just kind of this level of like nonsense. Like, come on, man, you really expect us to believe it was this dude here that was attacking Roman Reigns? But I mean, I like it, man. It's different. It's a different storyline. I like it, man. Like I like it. It's twin magic, baby. Twin magic. We got the Bella twins in the in the ring, but they ain't Bellas, man. What's going
They're
on?
the beard twins. And once again, Daniel Bryan,
Yep.
freaking amazing promo,
Yeah.
because that's Daniel Bryan.
I mean, he's greatness, man. Like we said last week, goat, man. He's the goat, man. He's God,
Oh, yeah.
what times do we live in, man? What times do we live in? So I look forward to seeing how that evolves next week, and I love it. It's a cliffhanger, like it's a cliffhanger. We're gonna figure out, we're gonna figure it out next week. We're gonna figure it out next week. So that's all I had for Raw and SmackDown. Unless did you have anything on SmackDown that I didn't cover that you wanted to?
No, I think we got it
Damn,
all.
I'm on point, man. Jeez, I'm good today. Um,
Oh, no, no, no.
damn, I'm not,
First
man.
segment of the show, the Randy Orton Kofi Kingston
Oh
deal.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely right, man. So forgive me. I watched Hulu late. I watched Hulu late. And I caught like the tail end live, and I did watch this morning the Hulu version. I did catch the Sammy's, or not Sami Zayn, but the Randy Orton thing. I like what they're doing, man. Randy Orton coming out. They're playing on the stupid gimmick. I like it. I'm still a little worried because I still feel like Randy Orton's gonna win, but I don't know. But that's just a testament of how good they are. I like that Kofi came out, hit him with Trouble in Paradise out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean it's good stuff, man. I think what these two are doing are great. I liked what happened on Raw with Randy Orton and the Revival just decimating the New Day. I feel like this is. I feel like you have to have Kofi win this match, but this is going to be the starting. This is going to be the focal point in the starting period of the unraveling of the New Day as a faction. Um, you're starting to see, and I say this. I know you're looking at me square. Hear me out.
I've heard that so many times in the
I,
last few years.
I hear you, man. And I think that they're laying down the groundwork. I don't think this is going to be an immediate thing. But I take some of the subtleties, and when the New Day gets when Kofi gets beat up, the New Day comes out and makes the save normally, like right away. It's not always the case when the New Day is getting beat up. There have been instances where Kofi hasn't shown up at all when the New Day's gotten beat up, whether it was Biggie or whether it's Xavier by themselves. Um, this week they honed in on Kofi
What?
watching his teammates getting decimated,
Oh, yeah,
right?
that was really well done on
And
Raw.
yeah, completely well done. Like I love that storytelling behind it because it shows that desperation and him trying to grab and thing. I feel like down the road this is going to be instrumental in the breakup of the New Day. Like them saying that, look, man, we've always been there, we've always had your back, but anytime that you get into a feud with someone, we're always the ones who either have to take the brunt of it or we're getting involved in some form or fashion, and we're sick and tired of it. And boom. I mean, I feel like that's what's going to eventually happen. And I think that they're sowing the seeds right now for this to come to fruition. Um, Probably around Royal Rumble, I'm going to say.
Here's the thing, I'm thinking Randy Orton takes the title at Clash of Champions. Actually, I was already predicting a title win at SummerSlam. I think it's bound to happen, and I just can't agree with the New Day splitting because they're still bringing in money.
Yeah.
They're still a merchandising machine, and there's a lot that can be done with them because well they're that damn good. So I don't see a breakup coming. I hope they're a team that splits up like the APA did. The APA split up. They got drafted into separate brands, and at the last show, they just like, nope, we'll go our separate ways, and it's been great. And I hope they do that with the New Day. I don't want to see the New Day explodes. No, I just want to see a friendly. It's been good. Now let's do our own thing.
Yeah.
So
I like the idea of an amicable split amongst the three, but I don't know how you don't cash in, man. This is so I have this on two things. I have this ongoing debate with Goose and some of my other friends. People say the Shield is the greatest faction of all time, and I argue with them. No, they're not. I literally think it's the New Day. It's the greatest faction of all time. Um, at least I put them ahead of the Shield. I still think NWO is kind of NWO and Wolfpack to me are kind of 1 and 2. But I definitely put the New Day above uh, the Shield. With that being said, man, I've been saying this for probably about a year and a half now. I think Kofi's time in the WWE, at least as an active roster, I think is coming to an end. And I think that the storytelling ending of him capturing the title and having this really good successful run. I mean, he's the way that he's been booked. He's he's defended his title and has had more matches than Brock Lesnar has had in his last 2 years as Universal Champion. Let that sink in for a second there.
It's not hard.
Yeah, it's not, but he's had more. He's had more compelling matches. He's had matches with like stars that are not main roster level, and he's given them opportunities. Like you're booking him as if this is his last run in the company. Like that's kind of the way that I feel that they've been booking him since Mania. I think that
The thing
Kofi.
is, he's 38 years old. I mean, he's not going away anytime soon.
You know what? I beg to differ, man. I mean, people have aspirations and have different things. We don't know what his medical conditions are. I mean, I don't think he's in dire straits, but maybe he wants to do something outside of wrestling. I don't know. I just feel like watching him wrestle, and I feel like he's coming to a point where he wants to do something different. I have no factual evidence or anything like that to the accord. It's just a feeling I have based on what I'm watching from his wrestling style. Not that he's bored or anything like that. I just feel like he's getting that Legends push.
Here's the thing that's so great about the New Day. He's being showcased as the single star of the group at the moment.
Yeah.
That can change. You can start 1 year from now. We can be talking about how Big E is the WWE champion because they've switched it around and got Kofi off the WWE championship and switched the dynamic around so that Kofi goes more into the tag team scene and Big E starts to get the singles push while still within the New Day.
Yeah.
It can happen. That's how that system. That's because that's how the great thing about the New Day. It can go. It's adaptable. It's so adaptable. The Shield was pretty adaptable. Was not as adaptable as the New Day. They can do pretty much anything they want, and it if done right, it will work. So Big E could be a future WWE champion while part of the New Day. Hell, Woods could get to that point because no one thought Kofi would, and here we are.
Yeah.
So at this moment, everything's possible.
Yeah, we'll table this discussion in the future when it starts to unravel in your face, and you'll see that your boy Sage the Mark was right. So we'll leave it at that,
All right.
man. Okay, so the last thing that I want to cover it's away from the ring, so we're done with wrestling. Great week of wrestling. Looking forward to next week, man. They just announced this week Matrix 4. It's a deal. It's a done deal. They're signing the papers, starting the production work. Lanny Wachowski is behind it. I don't think the other brother is, but going to I don't. It's coming out. A lot of debate. People are saying, why do it? I say why not do it. Before I give my full opinion on where what this is, I want to get your opinion, man. Do you like the fact that they're putting another entry of the Matrix? Where do you think that they go from here?
Well, I like the Matrix. I like the universe. I like the concept of it. I love the first movie. Second was pretty good, and let's not go any further.
We gonna get into it, son. Let's go. All right, go ahead.
Oh no, I mean it's just not that good. Keanu Reeves as an actor is amazing, and I think it's the coming back to this popularity with the John Wick movies. I think that made them think, well, we can do one more. We can this dead horse is still spitting money, I bet. So let's kick it one more time. I love the universe and the stories that it can tell. But after it was Revolutions,
Revelations. Yeah,
yeah,
Revolution. Yeah.
where do they go? Here's the thing. It's what does Neo do? How does that universe work now? Is are they going to look for a new Neo? Or who's going to be the antagonist? It, I don't know. There's a lot of questions to me that like it. I don't want it to be a remake for. It's not a remake.
It's not a remake. Yeah, it's a
But
continuation.
but at the same time, it's like, are they gonna paint themselves into a corner, and then the fans are just gonna be like, oh, they just did this for the money.
Right.
I don't want that to happen to the Matrix, which is still one of the. It's one of the films that like I remember watching as a kid because I was born in '92, so when the Matrix came out, I was like 8 or 9
Mm-hmm.
or something. But I watched it and I thought it was super fun, and then I watched it much later and like really got the nuances and the story, and I was like, this is amazing. This is an amazing universe. If they're bringing it back just to make some money, uh, I'd rather they didn't. But I see why they're doing it. Keanu Reeves is
Yeah, it's
hot
hot.
at the moment.
Yeah, bringing back Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. John Wick is off the chain right now. We need a Joe Flacco
Cyberpunk.
movie. Cyberpunk, 2077 out there. We do need another Joe Flacco movie. I'm just saying, man. Um, this is what I say, man. First off, I gotta come to my defense, my defense, man. I don't care what none of y'all say, none of y'all fanboys say, man. Revolutions was the shit. I mean, it was the shit. I loved it. It was the greatness, man. We got the Dragon Ball Z in real life, what Dragon Ball Z should have been. We actually got to see it play out on the screen with Neo and Agent Smith, and I absolutely love it. And I will say this, man: if you're going to have a Revolution, sorry, not Revolution. If you're going to have a Matrix 4, you Hugo Weaving better be in it, man. In some form or capacity, Hugo Weaving better be in it. Because if he is not in it, if Agent Smith is not in it, I'm going to be upset. And I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be ranting. I'm going to be telling y'all messed up because Agent Smith needs to be in there because it's inevitability, baby. Inevitability. Now, what I will say in terms of the plot, man, I think that you can play off the concept of the architect, because the architect said, that this isn't, that you're not the first incarnation of Neo. Like I've seen hundreds of Neos, and he's put them on the screen and showed each one of them and their different paths and stuff like that. I think that you can play off of that aspect of it for the Matrix itself.
So a new incarnation of the Matrix.
Exactly, a new incarnation of the Matrix. Maybe there was so like from, I think that they're going to introduce, because a lot of what they introduce is like computer terms and computer concepts, viruses, Trojans. We haven't seen ransomware, so I'd be interested to see how they implement ransomware, like the concept of ransomware in Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, yeah, cryptocurrency technology in this aspect of the Matrix, because I feel like you can play off of those two concepts. You can do it really, really well, and we might even see a fifth Matrix depending on how they do it. But we'll see, man. The door's not open. I'm excited, man. They made the announcement. I'm excited. I just hope they get it done with no accidents and like no delays and things like that. So, but we'll see. So I appreciate you indulging me, man, because I always like to get some stuff outside of the ring that are not related to wrestling on our podcast. So, but with that being said, man, let's get to this closing of the show. Thank you. First off, thank you so much. I have to call you John, man, because now I'm trying to think of your the pronunciation.
Joao.
Yeah, there you go, Joao. Thank you so much again, man, for coming on our show. You always got an open mic to doing this. I love it, man. I know this went about an hour 40. We try to keep it under an hour, but when we get into wrestling, we're passionate about it. A lot of stuff, just things start to click, man. But go ahead and hit the fans up with the credentials. Where can they find you?
Well, the links are all neatly placed in smartdown.net, so you can go there. I haven't updated it with my Twitch, but it's twitch.tv/smartdownofficial with just one F. Yeah, and follow us. Even if you don't understand what I'm saying when I'm talking in Portuguese, all you need to know is that I'm probably right, and I'm saying some pretty intelligent stuff most of the time. If
Except when
I'm
it
not
comes to Shane.
saying like some curse words, because I don't run a PG show
There we
or a
go.
PG channel. I'm trying to contain myself while I'm here.
Dude, you don't have
I'm
to,
complete.
man. Look, we ain't
Oh,
PG here, son. You could let it all out, bruh. No.
all right.
I'm sorry. If I gave you that impression, that's the bad on me, man.
No,
That's
I'm on good boy behavior
okay.
because I'm at someone else's house. I'm not in my house.
You think I'm
I
crazy, man?
am
You
in
gotta
my
you
house.
gotta tell me, man. You know how Goose and I go, man. You think I'm crazy? You say I'm crazy, bro. We good, man.
I mean, I still want to do a show with Goose because I think that would be great.
I'll get him, man. I'll get him on. Man. I'll make sure to have your credentials on the show notes. So if you're listening to the audio version, all the information will be on the show notes. Just check it out there. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Hit us up. It's Real Wrestling Podcast, all spelled out on Instagram. We are also on Twitter at Real WrestleCast on Twitter. If you're listening to this on audio, or if you listen to this on Twitch, or if you listen to this on Mixer, please go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/It's Real Wrestling Podcast. Just search for It's Real Wrestling Podcast. Will come up. We're running a contest right now where if we can get 500 subscribers, we're going to give away a $50 gift card to Amazon.com. So make sure to enter by hitting the subscribe button and liking any video on our channel. You'll automatically be entered into that. Once we hit 500, we'll do the drawing, and that's where we'll go from there. Support the show, patreon.com/IRWP for It's Real Wrestling Podcast. Project Canyon. We're still doing Project Canyon right now, 66%. Can't get it off the ground without your support, so please be sure to go ahead and visit there for more instructions. With that being said, thank you so much. Love one another, respect one another, but most of all, keep it real.